apologize. Economic gardening is a term that people throw out an awful lot, and it's been very, very successful in some other states, Colorado, Florida. Kansas is kind of in the midst of wrapping up a pilot program. And in short, you can just go to our website if there's any more information. But here's what it is. A business that is in stage 2, meaning they're past that startup, there's the ability to get 35, 40 hours of some very high-powered virtual consultant work done at no charge for the business. And we're kind of helping spearhead that up. There's been 30 or 40 manufacturing companies from around the state take part in that, where they basically just get some virtual online consulting, and it's something that we kind of help coordinate. And for time's sake, I won't go into that very deep, but just know that you can look at our website or can ask me for more questions.
Do go a little deeper.
I'll be glad to.
I'm
I don't want
interested.
to intrude on others' time. So,
We know the guy in charge, so we can.
you can do that. All right. I'll be glad to. Littleton, Colorado. A bunch of years ago, not a bunch, handful of years ago, basically got tired of having businesses get recruited in because they had laid out a bunch of incentives in front of them. And when the incentives expired, the business moved on down the road. And so they put a very real effort, a gentleman named Chris Gibbons, put a real effort into what he called economic gardening. The end result of it is there's this big group of private sector experts all across the nation. Experts in database research, international issues, competitive analysis, pricing, distribution, search engine optimization on the web, client lists, all these special things. Is this group of experts called a Jumpstart team. And a business, typically manufacturing, has to have 2 qualifications. Number 1, has the ability to grow, meaning they make something that has a shot. And number 2, has the desire to grow. And what they do is they basically have a hour and a half interview. And they don't allow, the Jumpstart team doesn't allow this to go any lower than the CEO. This isn't something that I as a CEO can slough off to an underling to just do. This has got to remain at a high level. The CEO has an interview with this national team on the phone. There's no travel or anything involved. While this is going on, this group is, and I've watched it happen time and time again. I'm not going to do justice to explaining it, but it's pretty fascinating. This group, each of them that are experts in their own area, is out there beginning to do research in their own particular thing, whether it's, and I'll give you an example of one. Maybe it's better than me just explaining it. There was a business, southeast Kansas, that provided, they had to do in the aircraft industry. They had 3 or 4 different products. They were pretty successful. And they knew their technology could allow them to do 1 or 2 other uses than they were currently doing. But there were some big players in the market, Garmin's and people like that. They were worried that if they began to do something that was a direct competitor,
3 participants at this time.
if they did something that was a direct competitor to one of the big players, they could kind of get crushed. They didn't have that kind of deep pockets. What they wanted to do was to do some real high-level competitive analysis and research into other uses for their product, but ones that didn't directly compete with some of the big dogs. And so they went through this, and the end result was this team came back with some very, very specific recommendations of, if you want to grow, here's a niche market that's not currently being exercised by the big dogs. Here's a couple of other markets that you need to stay away from because they're very close to what these guys do, and you don't want to raise their radar. And it's very much a, here's the information that you need. As you need it, we're here as consultants. And it's free. Kansas is with us and several others, USDA, a lot of others that have provided some capital to this. For a certain number of businesses, it's a free service to them to do that. And then our job is to sit back at the end of it and go, did it work? If it did, let's go to the state and ask for some funds to really blow this thing and make it big. If we look back and go, you know what, it didn't quite work like it did in Florida or Colorado or whatever, well, that's why it's a pilot. So that's what we're in right now is the economic gardening pilot in Kansas. And there's is working through those businesses. Yeah, Ron?
Some of us, I mean, we've talked about the importance of growing your own businesses, of that homegrown entrepreneurship from within for a long time. What makes this different, it seems to me, this is amazingly data intensive. I mean, it's not just a broad theory of let's grow our own entrepreneurs. They really crunch the numbers. They have a lot of expertise, and they can get some really high quality analysis that can help that business. So that's, I think, a key distinction about economic gardening.
One of the things that came out of it that surprised me is there were a fair number of businesses that have currently gone through economic gardening where their primary emphasis was sales. I need more sales, you know, and it kind of seemed kind of benign to me to hear that comment. But as I saw this group, watched from a distance, this group go through and come back with recommendations for search engine optimization things and how to make your business appear way at the top of a Google search instead of 2 or 3 pages deep. And then more importantly, they were providing back some data, client lists that this business didn't have the ability to access. I mean, the whole core of this is a bunch of database engines, search things, software packages that a business couldn't afford. But because of efficiencies of scale or economies of scale, all of these businesses across the nation, and now Kansas dipping their toe into this, taking access to it, are able to use it, is really what it is. And so that was another neat development of it, was a business just saying, I really like what I've got. People that buy it like it. I need to figure out how to sell it to more people. Help me with that. And they were able to come back and do that very, very well in terms of client lists and things that made them appear higher, better